superstar. He is an absolute superstar, Tom Mitchell.
Cripps at the back. Cripps is too good.
Yes! Oh, how good was that?
Let's do it.
All right. Jock Landale, mate, welcome to the Ball Magnets pod. I've been looking forward to this chat for a while. We tried to connect. Actually, we've tried to connect a few times. Firstly, what was it, a year or two ago when you were at the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. We were swinging by there on a trip, and you're in Vegas, I believe, at the UFC.
I was in Vegas watching Hamzat Chimaev and what was meant to be Nate Diaz, but then there was that whole weight category thing that went on.
That fight got called off, didn't it?
It just got rearranged heavily, and then I just watched Hamzat ragdoll Kevin Holland around for like, all right, mate, it must have been like literally 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Done, gone.
UFC in Vegas, that's a good combination. I feel like there was a main event in Vegas. That must have been buzzing over there.
Yeah, it's sick, mate. It's like real life gladiators. Like that's the way we looked at it. Like fight, we were probably like 10 rows back. Me and one of my mates out there, and it was just like fights in the stands, people smoking weed in the stands, and I'm just like, this is just a free for all. Like it's fucking unbelievable. So we were watching like these two blokes in the ring go at it, and then a fight would break out over there, a fight would break out over there, and it was just like, this is unbelievable. The blood rush there was insane.
You can imagine how the fans get so G'd up and excited, and they're just looking for trouble.
100%.
You weren't in there, were you?
No, my fighting days are over.
Mate, that's elite. Touching on Phoenix, so we had a few nights out in Scottsdale. That was an eye-opening experience, a different world over there. But you seem to love life there. Like just following you on socials. You've got a golden retriever as well. He gets plenty of love on socials.
Yep.
It seems like you're pretty well settled there. But what's Phoenix like to live as a place? Did you love it?
Mate, it's special. It has a great nightlife, food scene, shopping, all of that kind of stuff. Then you've got the outdoors areas are insane. You know, that year in particular, they had the Super Bowl. We had waste management, the golf, which is just off its
Is it
face.
hole 17?
Like
Is that the hole 17 that goes off?
I think it's 17 or 16.
The par 3.
One of the other, mate, it's unbelievable.
Did you go?
Yeah, we went.
Oh my God.
We parked up in some of the stands because the Suns did a great job of kind of organising all of that stuff. They always had like an event at an event.
Yeah.
So we went and parked up there. But I made the mistake of I had two of my best mates and their respective partners or whatever it was out there at the time. So me, the missus, their girls, and them all kind of just went in. I love being around the people. I love getting amongst it. So we got amongst it. We're walking through this. We walk through the main entrance. And it is just like
Mayhem.
Wild.
Yeah.
Like people just ripping their like tops off. Like I'm talking girls as well, throwing drinks over everyone. Mate, it was just mayhem. I was like, what is going on? It was
It's literally Happy Gilmore in real life.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it was just like this full on. It felt like it was something out of. What's the movie about the massive house party?
Oh, Project X. Yeah.
It was like Project X level. I was like, this is
So what
crazy.
are the rules what are the rules? Like you can do whatever you want.
No rules. No rules, mate. I don't know what it was about that weekend in particular, just with the Super Bowl and everything, but the party was, I don't know if that's what it's normally like, but the party was insane, mate. Like, unbelievable. So we've walked through there, we've gone and found like a quiet hole, and we've just kind of sat there, and then we come back and, we're walking up these stairs into it, bang, Dave Portnoy to the right, go a little bit further, there's someone else there, and we were just like, this is crazy. So it was just this influx of all the celebrities, stars, all that kind of stuff, and I think they all made the most of that kind of year.
It's literally what you see on
Phoenix.
TV. It's legit.
It was crazy. So, mate, that kind of stuff really added to the experience. The golf scene out there is phenomenal. I really enjoy my golf.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of stuff to do, which is like
it's elite.
refreshing, because coming from San Antonio, which is quite like a quiet town, a lot of our time in San Antonio was actually spent in Austin. And at the time, we were
That's my
like,
favorite city in America.
mate, it's
go there every year. I
unbelievable
love
there.
Austin.
Yeah. So at the time, we were like, we love Austin so much. We were like, if we're back here next year, we might go and live in Austin, and I would just kind of commute. It was a conversation we were really having, because we were
What's the drive? 2 hours or so?
mate, it's probably 45 minutes.
Oh, that all?
Yeah, it's pretty
Okay,
quick.
that's
it's pretty
doable.
quick. So we had this full plan set up. It was going to be unbelievable, but Phoenix, just the outdoor scene. We love being outdoors, hiking, all that. We bought a house there. You know, we really thought that was going to be home for a long time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I loved it there.
Yeah. And what about the basketball from a your career point of view, playing with some of the guys you played alongside? Let's touch on them. That's unbelievable. Like
special, mate.
Let's start with someone like Devin Booker.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about him.
Well, one of the hardest workers who has just like a calm energy about him, but just like a killer instinct about him as well. Like, mate, sometimes it was just like you were just out there running with him. I remember we had this Pelicans game, and we're playing Pelicans in Phoenix, and he had 50 or something like that on a crazy efficient, like it was 20 of 25. Crazy. And like there was this possession where he comes off this on ball and he kind of fumbles the ball towards the corner, and he just runs after it and rises up and shoots a three. And this was like mid 40-point scoring for him at this point. And I often found myself, I was just like sitting back in awe, like, this just doesn't make any sense. Like, and you're just kind of running around, like, you know, I go for every O board that I can, but I'm going to these O boards and I'm like, I really need to be expending this energy. Like,
just get back and play
defense because it's probably going to go in. So we constantly were doing just like watching him, helping him try and get the shots he wanted. And that was kind of our best offense. And then, mate, coming in, it was quite nerve-wracking for me because of the pressure that was on the organisation at that point in time. They just lost JaVale McGee. Dario Saric was hurt. Frank Kaminsky had gotten traded. I think he was traded in my trade. Oh, no, he wasn't. But anyway, I was traded to Atlanta with DJ. And when I get to Atlanta...
You got moved pretty quick.
Yeah, it was real quick. It was like...
Less than a week.
3 days. Yeah. There was a lot of centers in Atlanta, and we were like, we want to get out of here.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Atlanta guys watched some of my film because they hadn't really watched me play anything at the Spurs. You know, my Spurs career was very on-off. I wasn't playing a whole lot. So we're almost at the point where it sounds like I'm going to be traded to Phoenix, and we're like, hell yeah, like that'd be great. Now the Phoenix trade was like $100,000. Like, here's $100,000, we'll have him. So it was almost like Atlanta was like, oh, we don't even want him, just have him for free, right?
Yeah, they didn't do the research.
No, so the trade is like this close to happening, and Atlanta's like, you know what, we've actually watched some film on the kid, we might keep him.
Right.
So I think they upped the trade to like $125,000, and they're like, oh yeah, that'll do, here he is. So I get bumped to Phoenix.
Yeah.
I go to Phoenix and I'm like, man, I'm here on essentially like, it's a freebie for these guys.
Yeah.
And I was kind of expecting that they were going to either trade me again or just waive me.
Yeah.
Because my contract at that point, I had like $50,000 guaranteed and everything else was just month by month.
Yeah.
Anyway, going into that situation, you know, there was a little bit of external pressure as far as like, what are we doing? Like, we've just lost all these good centers for this. Like, we got this guy for $100,000. You're going to keep him? So like the outside noise was a lot of like, oh, let's get rid of him already. I hadn't even stepped foot on court. And so I kind of like thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Like, I can look at this as like a real pressure-filled situation. But there was honestly no pressure on me because everyone had already counted me out. So I got in like the best shape of my career and went into that camp and like killed it. Like, it was some of the best basketball I'd ever played. But
did you start quite a bit in Phoenix? I feel like
not really. No,
you were getting some good minutes though.
Yeah, I was
like,
heavy hitter minutes
games.
off the bench usually. Yeah. I started 4 or 5 games, but nothing crazy. And typically the games I started, I played really well. Like, you know, mid-teens into, actually there wasn't any 20-point games, but it was a lot of mid-teens, double-doubles, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, where I'm getting to is going into that situation, I kind of like threw all the pressure to the side, went in there in great shape, and the thing about Phoenix is they had a culture and a playing style set in stone, and I'm very good at just fitting in and getting in between the cracks, and like that's just, you know, that's where I really excel. So it was so easy for me to go in there and just kind of be a piece of the puzzle, essentially, kind of like a glue guy in between Book, CP, you know. Eventually we get KD, but we've got guys like Mikal Bridges at the time.
Him and
Cam Johnson,
who went to Brooklyn in the end.
Yeah,
like those guys are both stars,
mate. Like stars. So like I go into this situation as a guy who really does play well as an accessory to stars, right? That's kind of where I feel my career's at now.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Yeah.
And I just fucking love it. So that made Phoenix so easy. Like the integration process was easy.
And they would have loved you for it too.
100%.
Yeah.
And then doing that, CP's my guy. He was one of those guys that you walk in the gym and you're like, what's up, man? Like, tell me your life story. And we sit there for an hour in the hot tub or something. It's like, man, I'm talking to Chris Paul about the fact that I'm from fucking, the country in Australia, Melbourne, Geelong Grammar, like all this stuff. It's like, that just makes you feel like confident in the situation. And then Mikal Bridges is taking me and the missus out straight away. We go to the casino. It's like,
wow,
everything was just so easy. So as far as like a culture perspective, they just made that integration process like second to none.
That's pretty unbelievable because you hear, stories from the outside about certain guys and, Chris Paul, some people love him, some people hate him, but unless you really know him, how can you have opinion on people? Like I have teammates who are the same, people have this perception of people. I'm like, you don't actually know the guy. No. And you're saying that about CP3. So that's such a cool story. So he was one of the guys that I guess took you under his wing and
yeah, mate, he made it so easy. And you hear a lot about guys saying, Chris is rough to play with, especially centers. Like the word is that CP has a tendency of like breaking centers down to the point where they just like hate him, don't want to be him, and you see stories all the time, right? Like it's not uncommon knowledge. I think coming from a European background where I played for some of the harshest coaches in the world. But I appreciated what they did for me and now have really good relationships with them. It was like, mate, what are you talking about? Chris Paul's nothing compared to what I've seen in Saras Jasikevich's, Andrea Trinchieri. Like these guys were hard, like they were hard on me.
Yeah.
But it was all for a purpose.
Yeah.
So I knew that like kind of going into there, like no matter what he said, and he never makes it personal, but no matter what he said, it was for like the betterment of the group. And it was like, all right, cool. Like I can get down with that, especially being a minimum guy who wants to get onto a bigger deal and wants the help to get there. I just kind of embraced that fact, and it made our relationship seamless. And, I'm not the only one that thinks that. I played with Reggie this year, Reggie Bullock, and Reggie loves Chris. So
You
there
just
are
got
a lot of Chris
be
fans.
able to take feedback by the sounds of it and be on board with the team. It's not too hard.
It's really not.
And you guys had a good team. Like you were
a great team.
What seed did you finish? Like you had some good
Fourth.
years. Yeah, well, you were right up there.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see, when you talk about, guys moving on like yourself and Cam Johnson and these sort of guys, and you get KD who is an absolute superstar, but you've got this dynamic now with Beal, KD, Booker, which you would assume would get better results, but it hasn't quite worked this season for some reason. What do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Is that because
who knows?
Yeah.
There's a multitude of problems
that
any team arises. I mean, like us finishing fourth, right? We probably should have been like a 2 seed in my mind, but people often forget that we started out that season like 13-2 or something like that, or like 11-3 or something. And then we were just riddled with injuries. At one point we had like 7 of our top 10 guys out with injuries for like extended time. So it was like we were battling with, and this is where Mikal Bridges, credit to him, came into his own, is he was one of the guys who played the whole season. He's on that crazy streak.
he didn't miss a game, did he?
No.
Even to the point where when he did get traded, he got on the plane and made the next game.
Yeah,
in Brooklyn.
correct.
Like he didn't want the streak to be over.
Right. So he really came into his own as a scorer then, and just as he kind of got to that point, everyone came back. But like we were just so riddled with injuries, and then you look at it this year, and it's like, and Book missed a lot of time again. Brad Beal's in and out. Like just having everyone available,
Continuity.
mate, it's massive.
Yeah.
Like Sacramento is the prime subject to that. Like 2 years ago, the team played the most minutes together out of anyone, and they finish whatever they finished, but then they don't do well in the playoffs. It's just like you need time together to really feel it out, and they just didn't have that this year.
Yeah.
You kind of throw in the whole I don't like the fact that coaches get fired on a whim because I don't think it gives them time to really figure out what they want to do with the group. Like it's almost like you have to come in knowing what you're going to do and do it from day one. Otherwise you're gone. Like that doesn't, you need time together.
Someone has to be the fall guy for the organisation, I guess, to blame. Someone has to be the blame guy, which isn't always true.
100%. I think that the teams that are really succeeding these days, Denver, Miami, Celtics, all these teams have been together a long time.
Good point.
So that's where I think the success is. I think
Yeah.
the NBA needs to catch up to these teams by kind of instilling that in them.
OKC is another one at the moment.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like you just got to have time together and
Add
figure
pieces
it
as you
out.
go. Keep your core.
Because you're not gonna figure out the perfect structure straight away. Like you got to have the structure grow with guys and figure it out.
Spot on.
Yeah.
So prior to Phoenix, obviously you mentioned the Spurs before. This is probably a topical question you get asked all the time, so I have to ask it. But Greg Popovich, what was your relationship like? Did you, how did you find that relationship?
It was good. It was good. We just didn't spend a whole lot of time together. I came in, dealt with a massive concussion straight out the gates, which just set me back. Come back from that 3 days later, COVID. So I'm really out and not part of the team until mid-December. At that point, it's tough to fight your way into a team, as I saw this year, right? But the relationship was like educational. He cares about his guys off the court, and that's really a testament to the kind of guy he is. It's not just basketball, and people always say, oh, it's bigger than basketball. Like, he really is a living testament to that. So a lot of respect there as far as kind of what he did for me off the court. Went to him with multiple problems in personal life or whatever it might be, and he's always got time for you in that regard. But as far as on the court, I just really didn't play a whole lot that year for him. So it was tough for me to kind of... And the Spurs are, they're a group that really build people up. Usually if it's your first year with the Spurs, they throw you in the G League a bunch, and then you kind of work your way back in after, a year or two. I didn't even have time for that. It was like, come in, gone, trade. And that's just the way the NBA works, So... Yeah, I mean, mate, I can't, like, he's a great guy, great coach, think really highly of him from a small sample size, but just didn't have enough of a sample size to give you an accurate answer.
Yeah, it is so accurate what you just said in regards to the best coaches I've experienced as well from another sport, clearly, but are the ones that have a care for you on a personal level, like they care about you more as a person, and then the X's and O's, like that stuff comes later, but I think the pure chemistry, human connection is genuinely the biggest thing for a 100%. Player. Because once you've got trust for your coach, like, I'll do anything for you, and then that's when you can buy into everything else.
And that's like a huge piece of just culture in general in my mind. We see it with the Boomers, we see it with like Houston, Phoenix. If you just develop a relationship with anyone off the court, it makes you want to go that much harder for 100%. Them on the court. 100%. And that's how I felt about the Phoenix boys. Yeah. Like, we had such a good relationship off the court that, like, I was willing to run through a brick wall for some of these dudes. Like,
would you hang out on the planes and things like that and do everything together?
A lot. I sat with DA a lot. I sat with Campaign a lot. Early on in the year, who did I sit with? I sat with Terrence Ross for a little while.
How much do they love the accent? They take the piss out of you. They take the piss out of you flat out.
Every team I go to just takes the piss out of me because I feel like the more like people take the piss out of me, the stronger the accent gets, and I really lean into it.
Because Giddy's gone a bit American. You haven't changed one bit.
No, I refuse to. I mean, I come home to an Aussie every night, right?
True,
so like that makes it a lot easier. But mate, if my country mates, if I went with it, came home with an American accent,
you change, mate.
Oh, mate, I would never hear the end of it. So I make sure, I'd make sure. But yeah, Gids, Greeny, Dyson. They've all got Yanks accents.
Dante's pretty good. He's pretty Aussie, I would say.
He's borderline.
You know better
He's
than me.
borderline.
Yeah.
He's borderline. Who else? Joe's good. Paddy's good. Yeah. Those three are borderline.
Well, touching on the boys you just mentioned, because the Boomers been a huge part of your career so far, and it's going to be. Clearly, this year's going to be massive with the Olympics approaching. But 2020 Tokyo would have been an unreal experience, and to get a bronze medal in the Olympic Games is so unbelievable. Crazy. I remember watching those games as well and genuinely thinking, I know it was a goal of the team as well, but there was opportunities. I think the game was against the USA, but we had our chances, and it could have been a gold medal. Could have been a gold medal game
easily.
Yeah,
easily.
What's your recollection of it?
Oh mate, I just remember being up by 20, going, and I didn't hear the end of this. I didn't hear the end of this shit in Phoenix because Book and Kev used to tell me about how we blew the lead all the time, but. Mate, all I remember is we were up 20 with like 2 minutes to go in the third, or 3 minutes to go in the third. By the time the half come around, we were up 3. it was just this insane run that they went on where it was like our whole conversation was don't let them get steals and get out and run in transition, right? We didn't really do that the first half, but they just did. They ended up running this. It was just this Kevin Durant ISO. Give the ball to him. If you're looking at the basket, give the ball to him on that left elbow right there. Everyone else get the fuck out of the way. And all of a sudden, it was just like bang, 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 bang. He was just killing us. And it was like, what can you do with this guy? Because he really just doesn't see anything, right? So we're dealing with that. And then guys like Zach LaVine, Book was getting out and getting steals and getting out in transition. They had some big defensive plays. Like I think I got blocked like 3 times in a row on like some lobs where I was like 100% I'm dunking on somebody here. And it was just like...
Who were you up against there? Who was...
Kev got me one time. Jason Tatum got me another time. And I don't know, it could have been Bam or Draymond probably. Yeah. Or maybe JaVale McGee. I really can't remember. But it was just like this flurry of just them stealing the ball, giving the ball to Kevin Durant in the half court, and it was like, all right, mate, what can we do here? And then they kind of figured us out of defensively a little bit. They were switching everything, pushing us up, when we didn't figure out the offensive side of it quick enough. So opportunity miss, mate, like serious opportunity miss, because we had it going that first half. We had it all figured out, and just for whatever reason we got a little stagnant, and it was just downhill spiral from there. But geez, credit for us to, because that locker room after that loss,
shattered.
Oh, mate, it was, what did we just blow? Like, it felt like we're in a bad spot here for maybe 5 minutes. It was like you're looking around and you just like, everyone's just buried, head in hands. And it's like, mate, we're still in a medal game, you know? So Gorge comes in and just delivers one of the best speeches I've ever been a part of. And it was like we just won the game. Yeah. You know, it was just straight back. Yeah. So credit to the boys for rallying.
Yeah, it's still a beating that's hard to come back from to get your motivation back to go again. Yeah. And credit to the boys for getting it done.
Seriously.
But what's exciting is this year, in my opinion, you know, the world champs didn't go our way. You were a big part of that, obviously going down with your ankle. But this year's so exciting. Yeah. Interested to see how it all pans out with, you know, the veterans, Joe and Paddy, who have been there for a long time, and then you've got yourself and Giddy and a younger crop of guys coming through. But, you know, you can probably talk to it better than I can, but it's a different basketball, FIBA basketball. Way different. Yeah. What are the main things, and then how does that help Australia against, you know, the United States, for example, who clearly on paper have the talent, but a system can really help in FIBA? Yeah, I think the big difference you see, as you said, in FIBA basketball is there's a lot of systematic play. You don't get that in the NBA. Or very rarely do you get it. You know, Warriors, Nuggets, you might get it. Outside of that, it's kind of a free-for-all. It's almost like you're playing pickup, right? FIBA is very different in that you've got incredible-minded coaches who put in place high-level ball movement, player movement, and it's just like it's orchestrated perfectly a lot of the time, especially with those European teams. It's pure basketball in my opinion, in that, you know, it's hard to guard. The options are like laid out in front of you, and it's just pick your poison. Bring a 3-point line in, everyone gets better at shooting. You get a lot of the bigs can now sit in the paint, so the defense tightens up a lot because we don't have to clear the lane every 3 seconds. No defensive 3 seconds. No. So you can play zone, really.
Oh, mate, you can just sit in a zone. You can sit Rudy Gobert or Victor Wembanyama underneath the basket the whole time.
Does that suit teams to do that defensively, though, if you're playing against a good shooting team? Because can you get out to the 3-point line?
Well, it's a lot easier to rotate, right? Because because of the 3-point line's in, all the rotations are a lot quicker. So it makes it easier to, if there's a pick and pop big, for example, the stunt is like, you know, you're touching distance away. And then you put guys like Matisse Thybulle out there who can get to him, then straight back to his own. Mate, there's so little room for error. So that is that style. The best way to look at it is NBA. You're kind of playing basketball. It's loose. It's free. In FIBA, I always used to say it's like you're doing a math equation. Like everything's so structured that you have to pick the right option. Otherwise, you just won't capitalize. Yeah. So I would say that like that's probably like the key difference of the two. And It's tough, mate. It's so physical.
Yeah.
Like you come up against some big boys there, and there's no tic-tac superstar fouls. It's like bloodbath every night, which is fun. Like it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that
like
style. Yeah.
How do you think we're going to go? Who are the teams? Clearly, let's start with the USA team because on paper their team is unbelievable. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. Like I just think it's crazy the fact that you play these guys on a nightly basis in the NBA, but the fact all those superstars are going to be together on the one team. How will we go facing that challenge? It's going to be tough, but it's something that the Aussies, the Boomers, look forward to.
Yeah, mate. Oh, mate, it's always tough. They're just so talented, and even when you stop the team play, even when you take 4 of the 5 guys out of their action in any given 5, there's always one of them that's got it going, right? And that's the challenge you have with them is they're all just so talented and gifted individually that a lot of teams you can target a team defense and take them away, and then they don't really have somebody to go to like when all things break down. Mate, US has got 5 of them, so it's like you've just got to play the perfect game to beat those guys.
Yeah,
and that's why no one ever beats them because it's so hard to play the perfect game.
Yeah.
Outside of them, Canada's a problem. Who we see in the first round?
SGA, your man Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, mate. As much as I don't want DB to be on a good team, he's going to be on a good team in this one. Like he's. Yeah, and he's been letting us know about it as well. But
can you talk to me a little bit about him? Because
legend.
He's another guy that we've got this perception of. He's probably the prime example of any athlete in the world that there's this outside perception. You're like, what a loser.
One of the best teammates I ever had.
Good to be around.
Oh,
good
mate,
fun.
Awesome. He's just a character. I
love that.
Like he's got, it's this Jekyll and Hyde act, right? Like he's got this one person who's, and I don't even know if that Jekyll and Hyde reference is correct, but he's got one person who's like, he's in the locker room, he gets around the boys, he's a lot of fun to be around, talking, you talk a bit of shit with him, and it's all well and good. And then he goes and he stands on the court and stares, at opposing crowds or opposing players, and it's just like, then there's Dylan Brooks, like DB's the locker room guy, Dylan Brooks is the guy you guys got on the court, right? So, mate, if you get to know him, phenomenal bloke. Like, really.
Do the guys
really
that he rubs up the wrong way, do they know that about him? Probably not.
Probably not, because he does. Like, a lot of people are like, man, that dude. Like, a lot of people really think that about him, and he knows that and he embraces it, which is it's so sick.
He must have an ability just to genuinely not care what one single person thinks.
Yeah,
he's on a global scale doing it, not giving one.
Yeah, well, mate, he's just like. He's got beef with people so much further past just basketball. Like, he's like he's really is like a figure, a public figure almost. So, I love playing with him, mate. He brings a tenacity, outside of the locker room. He brings a tenacity on court. He brings a toughness that when he's not out there with you, you really feel like a group can flatten out, has the potential to flatten out a little bit. Because every time you step on that court, knowing that he's there behind you, he's got your back, it's like, man, whatever, everything goes at that point.
Well, as a spectator, it's pretty entertaining. So
I
hope you're in Houston for a while longer because it makes watching Houston so much better when you and he are there.
Mate, he punched me in the gut like last year when I was in Phoenix. I never knew the bloke, whatever, punched me in the gut running up the court. And it's like, that's the kind of bloke he is, So at that point, I'm like, mate, fuck this dude.
He's like the forward pocket antagonist in footy terms that everyone's got one.
Correct,
It's just
behind
an
play,
irritator.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%.
Yeah. And what's it like being back home in Melbourne? Clearly, you've got some good memories here. 2021 was a special year, winning the championship. You were the MVP of the finals that year as well.
Yeah,
talk to us about those memories, doing it, on home soil, and you can be proud every time you come back to Melbourne that you've been able to raise a banner.
Yeah, mate, it's awesome. It's awesome. They do such a good job of kind of reintegrating us back into their group and allowing us to get up and down with those boys as well. But coffee scene, like just seeing the mates, food scene, family, like all of that stuff when I get back to Melbourne, it's just like, just kind of swarms you, and you do feel the love when you get back here. So I can't wait to move back one day. Like, really
that's what you'll do. You won't stay in the States post basketball.
Nah, I don't think so. I think that me and the missus are way too, integrated in the community down here. We love it here. Don't know if we'll end up full time in Melbourne, maybe a little bit outside the city, but we'll definitely be in Victoria. Definitely be kind of in the area. I want to have a long-standing relationship with Melbourne United in some way, shape, or form. So I'd love to do something with them, but nothing but fond memories of Melbourne. And mate, it's just a lot of fun being back around some Aussie blokes and having a good time.
Yeah,
so.
You can use your accent and not be judged for it.
Yeah, correct.
Well, you've done plenty of travel as well, because clearly you played in Serbia and Lithuania, and we were chatting briefly on the way in. Is it Partizan? Is that how you pronounce it? Partizan.
Yep.
So there, for everyone listening, the crowds you see in Europe where there's bloody flares going off and people arm in arm jumping together, that's Partizan. That's the team you played for.
Yep.
Was that a home atmosphere every night?
Yep.
That is crazy.
Every night, except for one game, because they were too crazy, and the fans got banned from the stadium.
They got kicked out.
They got kicked out. Done. I think because they like. So what they do is they all bring lighters in because they're all smoking throughout the game, right?
Yeah.
So you come out at the end of halftime. You come out for the second half. And it's just like this haze of smoke. Everyone's just been sitting there on their chairs puffing darts, like it's whatever, mate. But what they'll do, especially in close games, and especially in like EuroLeague, Euro Cup, is they heat pennies up. For whatever reason, they heat these fucking pennies up. And as soon as a bad call's made, it's just pennies are just thrown down on the court because they're trying to hit the opposing team and the referees. Oh, mate, I got stories for days on these guys. But
that is crazy.
So that was a big one they do. To the point where we're in Niš, which is I think that's how you pronounce it, which is like a small town in Serbia, and we're playing in the Serbian championships, like the local championship, against Red Star, who's like the big rival, right? Usually those fan bases aren't allowed in the stadium at the same time because they're just so crazy, and they will just fight like damn near to the death probably, and so they separate them. Not allowed in the stadium, but this Serbian Cup, they bring the riot shield police in. They've got tanks or armored cars out the front, and they line riot shield police up the middle of the stadium.
Like the EPL,
it's just
like the soccer EPL, they do that.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
And they just split these two fan bases in half, right? So we're coming down the tail end of this game. And they make a bad call, and it's like neck and neck. And this is like one of the biggest games of the year, neck and neck. And it is just mayhem. All this stuff gets thrown on, and I get dinged right here with a coin. It was just like hot. Go and sit on the bench. Mind you, my fans are behind us, right? So our fans are right behind us. Go and sit on the bench. They're like sweeping up all the crap off the court. As I go to get up to get back in the game, this fucking flare that's lit up, woof, right past my head, explodes on the court. And I was like, that flare must have been this far away from just doming me. I was like, what is going on, right? My parents were at this game as well. So they're like just to the left of me, 2 rows back, watching all this stuff go on. And mate, it is just mayhem. So we end up winning on a really controversial call where it's an out of bounds play. We're up. No, what are we? We're tied. We're tied, right? Inbounds pass, they throw a lob to me. I grab the ball and just get my arm yanked down, and I miss the shot. I go to the free throw line. It's kind of a late whistle. The refs are like, should we call this or not, right? Because they know if they call it, something bad's going to happen.
More coins are coming.
Coins coming, goes crazy. So we walk back to the bench, walk straight back to the free throw line, make the first one. So it's like 0.3 on the clock, not even time to...
Game over. Yeah.
Game's over.
Yeah.
Mate, I used to get so wrapped up in those atmospheres that all my guys on the bench are like, miss it, just miss it, and the game's over. Cash the second one. Time out. Now they got a chance to tip the ball in and win and tie the game up, mate. The amount of heat that I copped, like I've just essentially won us the game. We're 0.3 from winning the game. The amount of heat that I copped going to the bench because these fans really know what they're talking about and what's going on was unbelievable. So, oh mate, it is an insane atmosphere. Some of my good friends still live out there. I really embraced that community and got around that whole. That's where my passion for the game comes from. All the crap, Mohawk, like all of that was birthed in Serbia, and like I really attribute a lot of the identity that I've created in basketball, all the screaming and the Mohawk and all that kind of stuff, to that Serbian culture, because it's just like passion. It's just raw emotion.
And we could talk about this for days.
I know.
I could literally hear these stories forever.
Yeah.
And Well, hopefully we can catch up with the footy because you're a Pies man. We can touch on a few more, but I got a few more of a quick fire sort of questions.
I'll slow down. I'll sharpen up the answers.
No, mate. I could honestly keep going all day. That was so elite. On your height, who's been some of your toughest opponents? Like, who do you come up against in the centre position who you're just like, holy shit, this guy's huge?
I mean, the obvious two, Embiid and Jock. Embiid is more dominant. When he really puts it on you and beats you up, you're like, I'm helpless. Jock is more of a silent killer in that it's all touch shot, hook shots, so he'll just put 40 points on you and you'll look up and you'll be like, damn, like that was wow. But Embiid will let you know about it. Jock will just go about it quietly, kind of plot around. There's another 2, there's another 7, then he's at 40 and you're just like, what the heck? It's crazy.
Yeah, cool. What about your most memorable game in the NBA from a personal, individual performance where you've had 20 or double? What's been your best game and who was it against? Or it could be a handful or any memory that sticks out.
There's probably 2 or 3. The first one, I'll give you one from each year. The first one was San Antonio against the Pacers. I had I think 28 or 27 or 28 points on 11 of 12 shooting, and I think I broke a record in San Antonio for the most efficient, highest scoring night or something
just
like
dunks.
that. Yeah, just straight dunks, a couple threes, but it was mostly dunks.
Yeah.
The one from the 2 from Phoenix are probably game 3 of the Denver series. I think that's we really turned a tide. I ended up finishing that game, which was a huge confidence hit for me from Monty. Just hadn't played a whole lot through that Clippers series. Didn't play the first 2 games and then got thrown into the mix, and we just turned that series around. We won the most games against them that year, and those 2 games.
They won the championship that year?
Yep.
Yeah.
And those 2 games, I had put a massive. They were 2 of my best games of the year. But that, and then we played against them, the Warriors. Game. I think it was our first game at home or second game at home. I had 17 and 12 in 18 minutes or something
That's
like
huge.
that. That was a lot of fun, that game. And then Houston, I had some really good games down the stretch, but either the Cavs game, again 17, 12 and 5 or something. That was a lot of fun, that game, and that was in the midst of our big win streak and kind of was starting to come to my own. Or the last game against Portland against Duop and DA, 2 former teammates. So I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one. Had 20 points or something like that. So yeah, there's a couple good ones in there.
What about who have you come up against in the NBA who you've been in awe of? I'm not sure who your favourite player was. You mentioned the guys you play against from a positional point of view, but what about some guys who are just at that superstardom level when you take the court and you're like, holy shit, I'm standing next to this guy?
I never have a moment where I'm like, holy shit, I'm standing next to this guy, because I don't fanboy people a lot.
Yeah.
I would say that a cool one is Kevin Love, just because he dealt with a lot of mental stuff, and I think that I had some issues with that earlier on in my career, and so I looked to him for a bit of advice almost from afar, I suppose you could say, when I was kind of dealing with it in Europe. So that was one that I was like, this is pretty cool that I'm playing with the dude who, unknowingly was kind of, helping me a little bit through it. So yeah, maybe Kevin Love.
I love how open he's been with that publicly, because he's been very public, and he was obviously fighting his battles from, just within himself for a long time, and now he's like an advocate for mental health, which is unbelievable, to the fact where he's always talking about it, which is I think he's created a dialogue on it worldwide, which is crazy. Yeah.
He's normalized the issue a little bit, which is probably has helped save a lot of people.
100%. It's bigger than basketball.
Yep.
Last couple, have you played against Wemby yet?
Yep, played against him a couple of times.
How's that been? His length is just ridiculous. He can obviously you can shoot a 3-ball, he can shoot a 3-ball, but what's his limit? Where can he get to? Could he be an all-time great? Yeah,
give me an all-time great, no questions asked. He just needs to put on some size, mate. I don't know if he can at that height, but he's a freak. He does things you can't teach, right? Yeah. We got this young fella, Rocco Zikarsky, in Australia. He's in the NBL. Same situation. These guys can just do things that you cannot teach, and that's a special place to have as your foundation, right? I boxed him out to the free throw line one night and he just plucked the ball from over my head, which was like literally sitting in my lap. He just like grabbed it, and it's like, mate, you can't teach that, right? So it's stuff like that where it's like, as long as this stays good and you stay engaged, mate, it's up to you how good you want to be.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I see from him.
Yeah. Last two. Who's your GOAT? Best of all time? Favorite player of all time?
MJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And where to now for you in terms of your NBA career? You want to stay in Houston? Obviously, we understand the league. Like things happen, but you seem pretty happy there, and you obviously want to have a long career in the NBA. How many more years do you reckon you can keep going along for, and then obviously come back home when time's time?
Yeah. I'm in a pretty unique position in that I love being a backup. Like I really enjoy the role of being a backup and that challenge because it's tough. It is a tough job, but for whatever reason, I'm content in it. You know, I'm not looking. You know, if a starting opportunity comes up, whatever. But I'm pretty content with where I'm at. Give me 20 minutes, and that's just years on the career.
Yeah.
Like,
True. Well, that's less minutes.
Yep. So I love that.
Yeah, that's smart.
So, mate, if I can get to, I've played 3. If I can get to 10, so play till I'm like 35.
Yeah.
In the NBA, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd love to stay in Rockets uniform as long as possible. After that, I'd love to come back to the NBL and help this league grow a little bit, start getting back involved with Melbourne United, and then ultimate goal for me is just be a kind of a presence for that Brisbane 32 Boomers team. Hang them up after that.
Be huge.
Be a quad Olympian. Done.
Mate, that'll be so good. Let's end on that note because that's a good note to end on. But mate, that was unreal. Thanks so much for the chat. Don't heat up any pennies at the Pies game this weekend. If we're down on the scoreboard and you see a bloke in the crowd with his lighter out heading up a few 20-cent coins, let that bloke out of the stadium.
Get him out of there, correct.
No, thanks, mate. I love that chat. That was unreal.
Appreciate you having me.